Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and we're designandtechtips.com. We got a great one for you today. We've got some social media icons that are going to roll up the page. You can hover on them, they're going to grow and change color when you hover on them. When they get to the top, they're going to stick there and they're going to go off to the left hand side and stack in a vertical manner. And it's totally responsive, so it'll work perfectly on tablet and mobile also. Let me take you through it. So here we have our site. If I roll down, we got some little social media icons right here when I hover over them. They've got a little hover effect on them. Of course, you can click on them, go to your social media page, get people to share your stuff. When we get up the top, they're going to go over to the left-hand side and stack just like that. Show you that again. Going to roll over there and stack. And stick there all the way down the rest of the site. And that'll work perfectly for tablet and mobile too. If I go to the back to the top of the site here, hit my F12 key. Here we are on an iPhone 12. We roll down. We'll see our little social medias pop into play there. And again, when they get to the top of the viewport here, they're going to roll over to the left-hand side and stick there. And it's exactly the same deal on an iPad also. When we roll back to where they were, they're going to jump back in place and scoot down the page. That's a really nice little eye-catching thing, and it's a great feature because we've pushed them out of the way of the content, but they're still accessible for everybody. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. And if we roll on down, let's get rid of this section and we'll start from scratch. Okay, well let's start a new section. I'm going to click on the section above, hit the little blue button to add a new section. I'm going to use a regular section. In mine, I'm going to use a single column, single row. And funnily enough, I'm going to use a social media follow. By default, it throws in a Facebook and an X there. To add a new one, just hit the plus. Decide what network you want. We'll go for Instagram. Go into the link down below. Obviously, put your page link where you want these to take people. Your Instagram feed in this particular case. Then we'll save that. Let's add a couple of more. Let's do LinkedIn. And again, obviously link it. And let's finish off perhaps with a Pinterest. Great. And as you can see, it puts the default colors in there for you. I want mine to be all a common color. So I'm going to save this. It'll take us back to the main settings here. I'm going to go into my first one. Facebook's fine, link's fine, background. I'm going to make it the default blue. And then when we hover over it, I'm going to make it orange. Common to all Divi modules, if you hover over the dark writing within a module, you'll see some little icons appear. If there's a little arrow there, we can create a hover state, completely different value on hover. So once the arrow's clicked, I'm going to give it my new value there. So we got that on hover, and that when the mouse is not on it. Great. Well, I want it to be a little bit bigger. So in design, we're going to go down to icon. And we've got actually custom icon size. You can change the color. At the moment, it's that default white for the F and the X and the Pinterest icon there. You can put in any color you want. I'm going to leave mine as it is. I will make it a little bit bigger. Something like that. Obviously, you do what works for you. And for me, I'm going to have it perfectly round. And to make it perfectly round, we want to start off with a square. And we've got a square there, so that's fine. So I'm going to go down to border. Make sure the change check. If you put a high value in like 50, it'll put the pics in for you. That makes it round for us. But I also want this when we hover over it, not only to change color, I want it to grow as well. So still in the design tab, we can go all the way down to the bottom to transform. Our first one is transform scale, which makes it get bigger or smaller. Again, we want to hover over, get our little arrow up. When they're not hovering over it, I want it to be regular size or 100%. We click on the hover tab. I want it to grow to about 150. And if you make sure you've got this chain checked here, it'll do both sides at once for you. That's great. But I think it'd be fun also, while it's grown like that, to have a bit of box shadow under it. So if we flip back to regular state now, we'll go up to the box shadow just above. I'm going to use this one just down underneath, but I don't want to see it at all when they're not hovering over it. And there's no option for that in the box shadow. However, if we roll down, we can do it with the color itself. So let's hover over the shadow color there, get the little arrow up. On desktop view, I'm going to copy this regular shadow color. So I'm going to say copy shadow color. I'm going to click on this one. And the little variegated slider's opacity, if we take it all the way down to the bottom, it makes it invisible. Totally transparent. Now let's click on our hover. I'm going to paste that color in there. Paste shadow color. So it's got that when we hover over it, as well as grey. And no shadow when we're not. Fantastic. Well, I don't want to have to do all the same for these here. So what I can do now I've got that first one done is save this. Right click on the one that we've done, the Facebook one here, and I can say extend item styles. I want to extend these item styles to everything in this column. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to select this column. I'm going to extend. Fantastic. And I also want to pop these in the middle. So design-wise, alignment. I'm going to align them in the middle. I'm in the regular settings now. I'm not in any of our little social elements there. Great. So we've created our hover effect and we've got our social media icons here. Let's just make sure they're going to work. Quickly exit the visual builder. Roll on down. Fantastic. Doing just exactly what I wanted to there. It's got the back box shadow when we hover over it, none when we don't, and it's growing. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's make this thing sticky. What I want it to do is roll up, and when it hits the top here, initially I'm going to have it stick to the top here, and then we'll scoot it over and stack it on the left-hand side there. So let's re-enable the visual builder. Great, so now we've built our social media icons, we've got the hover effect and everything like that. We want them to stick when it rolls up the top. Then we want them to roll over the left-hand side and stack vertically. And we can do all that without doing any coding at all. Divi has some marvelous scroll effects built into it. Really easy to do. So let's get back to the build. I'm going to go back down my social media buttons here. And we'll go in there. Into the actual module itself. And again, common to all modules, rows and sections, if we go over to the advanced, down the bottom we've got scroll effects. And we can make it sticky. Well, initially I'm going to stick it to the top. You notice now when I roll up, it's going to stay in position at the top there. That, on its own, is a nice little effect. But I don't want it really in the way of the content there. So I'm going to offset it a little bit and bring it down a little bit. Sticky top offset. Just going to bring it down slightly. Not too much. Okay, now that we've actually made it sticky, we can do some other things. So if I go up to position above, now that it's sticky, if I roll over position there, we've got a little pin. So that when it's in its sticky position, we can have a different value by clicking on the pin there. So when it's not sticking, down there, it's in the default position. If we hit the little pin here, when it sticks, I'm going to make it fixed position. I'm going to pop it in the middle of our left-hand side there. But also when it's pinned, I'm going to have it shoot over this side as we've just done with the fixed positioning there. I'm going to go into my design and sizing. And again, if we roll over, we've got a little pin there. So when it sticks, I'm going to click on the little pin again. I'm going to have it perhaps only 70 pixels wide. I'm going to put 70 px for pixels. And as you can see, they stacked on top of each other there. Now it looks like our last one's got slightly out of line there. So we can fix that. We can go back to our content. We'll go into that Pinterest one, over to design and spacing, and we'll have to give it a little bit of negative margin when it's pinned just to pull it back over. So here's the margin. We want to make sure we get up our little pin. We want to make sure we're only on the pinned version. And if I start incrementing down, we can pull it back to the right there, or to the left there, I should say. We may have to readjust this in a moment. And if we go back to our desktop, we're going to make sure that it's on the regular state there. Let's just save this and see what we've got going on now. Save the changes. Save the page changes. And let's exit the Visual Builder. Now let's roll down. There's our little social media buttons. Let's see what happens when we get to the top. Well, it's great. They're stacking over there. But I want them to be all the way over. And the reason they're just stacking here is because our row is not full width. So all we need to do to fix that is make our row full width. So let's enable the Visual Builder. Going to roll down. Going to go into the green tab, which is a row. So I'm going to click on the section here. Go into the green tab. I'm going to make it full width. So over in design, sizing, width. I'm going to drag that all the way up to 100%. I'm going to copy that, Control C, and I'm going to paste it down below in max width, Control V to paste. Or you can just type it in. We've now got a full width row, so this should now be over to this side when it sticks. And the only other thing, you can slow this down for a bit of grace so you can see them stacking over here by going into the module itself. And again, this is common to all sections, rows and modules for the transition. If we go over to our advanced and down to transition, by default it's 300 seconds. I'm going to take mine up to about 3/4 of a second to just slow it down just a little bit. 750. You can slide, you can type in a value, you can increment up and down with the little arrows if you want to. I'm going to save that now and we should be good to go. Hit the little purple button, save draft or publish if you're ready. Now let's exit the Visual Builder. We'll roll down. There's our little social medias right there. If I hover over, they've got that nice hover effect, which is great, and a little bit of box shadow. Now if we drag them up to the top, we'll see them go over the left-hand side and stack like that. I want to make sure that they're on top of everything else as we scroll down the site. I haven't got a problem at all here. And when we scroll back up, it's going to jump back into position there. Now, if you find that they're not on top of everything here, you need to change the Z index. And I'll just show you how to do that, and we're done. So, hit the Enable Visual Builder again. We'll roll down. Click on our little social media module here. Over in Advanced and Position is always where you'll find Z index. Now Z index is how things stack. Something with a higher Z index will always appear on top of something with a low Z index. So if I go over here, if this is getting behind our section here, or this section, you just want to go into that section, give it a low Z index, say 10, and give our social medias Z index as 20 or higher, or 10 or higher actually, 11 or higher, and they'll always appear on top. We haven't got a problem with this at the moment, but should you encounter that, that's the way to fix it right there. Let's save our changes. Page changes, and we're all good to go. We'll scroll on down. And there we have them. Absolutely perfect. Well, there we have it. There's how to get your social media icons to roll up your page, flow over and stack on one side. As you can see, really easy to do, and that's a really eye-catching thing. That's going to get people noticing those really quickly. And the great thing about it, obviously, is it stacks to one side for tablet and mobile when it's sticky. Perfect solution. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment. Always fantastic to hear from you. Share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. If you've enjoyed this today, have a look at our Divi scroll effects playlist. It should pop up over here any moment now. There should be something fun on there. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and WebDesignTechTips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.